really be accelerating as these very widespread attacks end up having more prevalence in the marketplace. We end up seeing really large organizations on whom a lot of people rely for different kinds of services simply unable to execute.
The 2023 IBM Security Cost of a Data Breach report puts the average cost of a data breach in the U.S. at around $9.5 million. That total is not just business loss, but detection and post-breach response.
This process can be very protracted and can be fairly expensive because one has to make sure that you eliminate all the corruption that exists inside the system.
Jack Dennehy is with New Harbor Security. He says these attacks are looking for organizations, often larger in size, that could likely pay a ransom. Healthcare is the most common target. Jack says those that decide to pay have very mixed results.
Time it takes and the cost incurred to gather that information back and then re-implement those systems so that they work. Sometimes it's not even possible.
Jack says while these breaches often start with people in the organization, one step he is seeing is more investment in monitoring.
Keep the organization resilient, resist the spread of it, and make cleanup faster and easier and less impactful on clients and constituents. I think that's where the smart money is being spent.
The IBM report says about 50% of breaches are ransomware and destructive attacks, and found a fairly significant increase in the cost those ransomware attacks are having. Of the sample in the IBM report, nearly 60% passed the cost on to consumers by raising their prices.
Sean, thank you. Ascension via Christie says some patient services have been restored at Wichita hospitals following a cyber attack this week. Those include elective procedures and surgeries. Access to some primary systems from doctors and healthcare workers have also been restored. A spokesperson for Ascension says the situation does remain a fluid one. The city of